Hello and welcome to today's episode of Builders, the podcast where we discuss the ups and downs of building great tech products through the perspectives of the people who build them. This time, we're thrilled to welcome Sohrab Hosseini, a visionary working at the intersection of technology and business, and a co-founder of Ork AI, a generative AI collaboration platform. Before embarking on his journey with Orq AI, Sohrab honed his skills and leadership in various executive roles. Today, we'll dive into his journey, exploring the inspiration behind Orq AI and his personal experiences in building technology. Sohrab, welcome to the podcast. Lovely to have you here. How's it going?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. All good. Working hard.
Good to hear. Sohrab, in your career so far, you've worked in multiple CTO and CEO positions, I believe. That's right?
Yeah, COO more, but also some CEO.
Okay.
What's in the name, right?
Yeah, exactly. And here you are, co-founder of Orq AI, this generative AI collaboration platform, as I put it. How did you get here? Tell us a little bit about these past roles, executive roles and non-executive roles as well.
Sure, happy to.
What's your journey?
Well, it all started during my bachelor's, where I founded my first 3 companies, 2 of which I was able to sell successfully. Not unicorn type of exits, but for a 20-year-old, it was fun to do. Third one went horribly wrong in the 2008 crisis. So I also have those battle scars to show for with the bankruptcy and dealing with all that mess. Which led me to join other companies, kind of to recover from that. Building B2B SaaS companies. I was also, because during my bachelor's I never started my master's, I also decided to go back to school, get my executive MBA. Out of that MBA, I ended up in McKinsey when they were building their digital practice as one of the digital associates. So did my tour of duty there for a couple of years. But of course, my fingers were itching to be building again, and not just advising and consulting on other people how to build. That led me into 4 different startups and scale-ups in COO, CTO roles, always kind of the second person next to the actual founder of that company. And it was in the last role where I met my co-founder, Tony, where we really hit it off culture-wise, attitude-wise, and we were brainstorming about some products. We were actually doing some concepts for clients in the previous company, and we were like, this could be its own SaaS if we build it properly. So we decided to quit, and in January 22, we wrote the first lines of code for Orq AI, and here we are 2 years and a month later. Already has been a cool journey.
Fantastic. And let's rewind a little bit, because my kind of ears perked up, particularly when you spoke about these few companies that you founded when you were studying. Tell us a little bit about the 2 that you sold successfully, but then also about the failures, as you put it. The scars are all important, right?
Yeah, happy to share. It's already 20 years by now. First 2 were both based on early days internet. So we're talking about 2001, 2002. So in the Netherlands, it was relatively new internet. And this was pre-Facebook social media. So I built a community portal for club life, nightlife in the Netherlands. All the things you expect from a clubbing portal. So that turned into a social platform where actually people who would be clubbing in the Netherlands, which is also famous for clubbing and good parties, where they had also the whole social network, sending messages, adding friends. So it was new for everyone, and that took off. So there was a big Dutch publisher or Scandinavian publisher that bought us. So I joined them and expanded that internally on their side. And in parallel, had already the second one started, which was around how to activate urban youth through unique types of marketing and advertising. So brands were hiring us to set up how to reach the urban youth in the bigger cities in the Netherlands. So that one we sold to a group of VCs. And then we leveraged the 2 existing companies to do larger lifestyle events and concepts. But those got
Mhm.
more and more expensive, especially in the events. You kind of have to earn your money back within a day, right? So you prepare for
Right.
10
Yeah.
months and then one day is Judgment Day. So a
Yeah.
lot of upfront costs. What happened was the VCs we had back then, um, into 2008 crisis, their LPs got stuck. So they were not holding
Mhm.
their side of the bargain to um, um, transfer the money to the VCs in time. So our VCs got
Okay.
into liquidity crunch, and they didn't feed us in time with the
Yeah.
approved funds. So then all of a sudden everything collapses, and also
Right.
resulted
Right.
in some issues with my partner back then, the co-founder. So there
Mhm.
was a kind of a marriage that also went wrong, and especially in the
Mhm.
startup phase, right? The co-founders is literally a marriage, and even more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've also
Absolutely.
learned on what to look for in a co-founder and where to steer clear from. Yeah.
Any tips in that regard?
Well, it's I was 22 back then, right? I'm almost
Mhm.
40 now, so I can definitely
Mhm.
give some advice to my younger self in the pattern recognition and behaviors. So it's um it's those little things you see in someone's values, how they treat other people in the least moments that really don't matter, but still how they hold themselves up when no one is looking, how they behave. It's all those little
Mhm.
signals that show like how someone does one thing, they will do everything. That
Yeah.
looking back, I saw all the red flags, but ignored them because I didn't know better. And now,
Mhm.
in people when you're doing recruitment, the friends you pick, the people you hang out with, you
Mhm.
start looking for those patterns for sure.
Yeah, yeah. You take those learnings with you, for sure. But yeah, a little bit before we start moving on to
Yeah.
AI, of course, a little bit more about this kind of the failure that you mentioned in 2008, and these kind of, particularly you put it well, like the scars that you carry. I mean, I've listened to enough kind of um, podcasts where people talk about their previous failures and how important they are to kind of get back up and go again. What was your mindset in terms of like when you did fail back then, for want of a better word, of course. How did you kind of get over it? How did you kind of face your next job
Yeah, so
afterwards?
looking back, it was also one of the deepest deeps in my life.
Yeah.
And it was not like a 2 week um, dip you took. It was like
Mm,
it took me just the chaos. It took around 1.5 years with all the bankruptcy lawyers and courts and
mm,
all that stuff going on.
mm,
That was 1.5 years just high stress. Also in another a lawsuit or a creditor that comes after you. I didn't dare to open my mail because there was always these big packs from courts in there,
mm,
and I was just
mm,
23,
mm.
right? I had no idea, and also no
Yeah,
one to
yeah.
advise me because I don't come from like
It's an, yeah,
a well connect family, right? We all moved here as migrants, so no one I could
right.
learn from. Didn't have money for proper lawyers, so a lot of things just
Yeah,
overcome you
yeah,
in
yeah.
that. And then financially, it took me around 8 years to recover from that bankruptcy, right? To just uh,
Hmm.
like own the failure, and then make good
Yeah.
deals with the creditors and just pay them off.
Hmm.
But that took literally 8 years before I was clean again financially.
Got you.
Yeah.
And do you still think today, like when you're working in your everyday life, are there things that you kind of think back to that you're like that you've basically taken as these learnings into
Yeah,
your
definitely.
work
But
today?
it's
Yeah.
actually much more uh, proactive, right? So you just
Right.
prevent you even getting in those situations with like how you set up your shareholders agreement, how the between the
Hmm.
co-founders what to do set up or with the VCs, and
Hmm.
how to manage liquidity, how
Hmm.
to manage burn rate, run rate, all that stuff. You now do
Hmm.
proactively, so you don't even get close to the edge, but
Yeah.
because of the
Yeah.
learnings you had painfully. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, fair enough. And all of these are obviously, you said they were. whilst you were studying, right?
Yeah, I
For your
mean, it
bachelor's.
was I had like
Yeah.
one course left that always kept
Right.
stucking around data structures. Still hate it, but
Okay.
but yeah, that was still going on. And by then,
Hmm.
the third company was so busy with 12 employees and everything, so I never went back to do the masters. Right, I wrapped up the bachelor's
Right.
and
Right.
the masters. I was like, well, I'll do it one day. But having a migrant mom,
Yep.
right, who would disown me
Mm.
if I would never not get a master. So after that, I did go back to get the MBA.
So yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned your mum
Yeah.
there. Has she been kind of an inspiration for you then in your professional life as well as the academic?
Definitely, both my parents on now, the importance of education and keep going. Also,
Mm.
I mean, they took huge risk to, leave the country we're from. We're from Iran, get over
Hmm.
here, start from scratch again.
Yeah.
And, you want to make sure that doesn't go in vain, right? And you really
Yeah.
squeeze every little drop juice out of the lemon. Uh, for
Yep.
that, also the nieces and cousins that I have back in Iran, right, who didn't get these opportunities, you kind of owe
Mm.
something for that.
Mm.
Yeah, so that definitely plays along.
Mm. Um, nice. Let's talk a little. Yeah, let's start talking a little bit about Orq AI. Tell me first. Yeah, Orq AI. Who is it? What is it? Who are the people behind it? How big is the company? Talk me through it.
Sure. So Org AI is as it says, generative AI collaboration platform. So we really enable teams to um, much faster, more efficiently, safer build generative AI use cases in an
Hmm.
enterprise environment,
Hmm.
run experiments, run quality controls, and then put that in production and manage it in production. And it's
Hmm.
really a transformation platform for an organization to be able to get on the train of all this new tech coming, online every week by now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Weekly,
Yeah.
there's models coming
Mm.
online, etc. So how do you, as an organization, are
Yeah.
able to internalize that technology? So we abstract away
Hmm.
a lot of the spaghetti
Hmm.
for organizations. And what one of our core pillars in thinking is it's not just an AI team, data science team that should own this. So
Hmm.
product management, domain experts from the business side, and the engineers collaborate in Org AI on
Hmm.
ideation, experiments, operations, and in production running their use cases, right? So yeah,
So you have quite a varied kind of base essentially.
yeah,
So you've,
personas,
as
yeah,
far as I understand, you have this kind of these no code building blocks, right?
correct,
For these product teams. So you have these. I think a common term for it nowadays is essentially these technologists, whereas different people in an organization are basically able to use
exactly,
these tools
yeah.
and kind of create what they're creating for their company. So I mean, yeah, these could be individuals in any positions
Yes, I
across the
mean,
country,
one
the company,
one
essentially.
example I always say in pitches is, just like you don't have an Excel department in an organization, right? You're not like, oh,
Right.
it's part
Yeah.
of the Excel team. No, you don't have it. Everyone is able to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it. Of course, some people are a bit more mature. The finance department knows, how to build macros and all that crazy stuff. Others are just
Yeah.
tracking some tasks and to-dos in it. That's how this
Hmm.
should be, right? Where you have, of course,
Hmm.
some experts that do the next level stuff, but it should be just part of
Hmm.
everyone collaborating in there and running their use case.
Yeah.
One of the our front running enterprise clients is literally doing that. So you have people from HR, from legal teams,
Hmm.
building and prompt engineering, testing on their own
Hmm.
data, on their own models, new
Hmm.
use
Hmm.
case.
Hmm. And you mentioned at the start, I believe you said January 2022.
Yeah.
Was that when Ork AI was
Yeah, that was like
founded then
first
officially?
code commit to GitHub. Yeah,
Okay,
somewhere around there. Yeah,
cool. And you're one of the
yeah,
co-founders, obviously. How many co-founders are there, and how big is the
yeah.
company
So
now?
it's Anthony and myself. So Tony's
Hmm.
really our technical genius, Cuban, Spanish immigrant also. So we share the immigrant mentality together, and there's nothing that guy
Gotcha.
cannot build. So
Hmm.
really happy to be
I love those people.
Yeah, it's like he just hacks away the whole day. Just loves building, right? And so do I. So product we really do together, but real technical implementation, he's handling everything. I'll handle all business, financial operations stuff around that. So the first 18 months we bootstrapped. So we were doing consultancy work on the side to keep the lights on, and we had one employee who joined us very early on, Christy. And then in the summer of 23, we did our first pre-seed funding round, which allowed us to scale to 6. And then in December, we did another round, which allowed us to scale to now 13. And we have 2 more incoming soon. And that's kind of the right size for the next period where we really now are focused on go-to-market, really the storytelling of to the market. Because the market readiness.
Congratulations on the pre-seed and the last round as well.
Thanks, super happy with that. Yeah.
What are you building now, and what is what's this? What are you going to be investing in the near to midterm?
Yeah, so product wise is really further closing the workflow, as I mentioned, really end to end, bringing in a furbished apartment, right, where you can just move in. You only bring your toothbrush and your cleaned underwear, and you just move in and start doing your work. To really do that in a no-code, Apple-like experience platform. And then further deepening the different features we provide. So on experimentation and running evaluations, we're investing heavily on. Also because that's the first step almost everyone gets into the platform. And then it's the data, bringing your own models, fine-tuning, human in the loop feedback with data curation, where again the domain experts handle that part, so that the whole circle turns into an upward spiral for the organization, and everything is interconnected in the platform.
You mentioned the domain expert. Yeah. Is this a domain expert on the kind of customer, the users side of things, or are you also kind of the support in that sense as well? Because, like you mentioned, a lot of this platform, as I understand it, is no code or low code kind of related, and therefore you're going to have users, or particular users that might be less tech savvy. Let's say you're there then also to kind of give them a helping hand, or so how does it work?
So we, of course, if we do something right, it means the client just hits the ground running themselves. That means we're doing something right. So indeed, the domain experts are from the different departments on the client side who are doing their day-to-day work. And what we bring is more the best practices, but also just a lot of presets, what we see, right? So providing all these no-code blocks is one thing, but then people have the blank canvas problem. Like, okay, well, here's a Miro board. So let me open a template, right? Because I'm not that creative, so I need something to start off with. So everywhere in the platform, we pre-fill it, we give examples, best practices. So, on prompt engineering, etc., how to get going. Later in the year, we want to infuse the whole platform with agents ourselves. So you actually have co-pilots helping you along the way. Right, so we really, are eating our own dog food then. But for that, we really want to close the circle first, and then start the infusion with AI.
Super interesting. And this you have this solution. I think you guys call it, right? With this kind of platform that's called Model Garden, right? And this is built up of the potential or possibility to kind of integrate with loads of different large language models, so, from OpenAI to Google's, or a lot of different ones. Essentially, the user, then the customer, can kind of play around with lots of different large language models and choose which one is best suited to their needs, or
correct. So we come pre-connected with, at this moment, 75 models, and we're always on top of it to add the new ones. Eventually start plateauing because it's 80-20 always, right? Most people go to GPT-4 anyway.
I was going to say, like, this is like a follow-up question. You've got, like, Claude 3 was released yesterday or a couple of days ago.
Yeah, we're doing final testing and putting it in production today,
Yeah, so, like, how are you keeping on? Because it seems I mean, last couple of weeks alone, there's been so much happening with the products coming from Google as well, with Google Gemini 1.5 for developers and everything. There's so much happening in the space. I guess you guys have just got to keep your kind of ears
Yeah, and also
eyes to the ground.
architecture-wise and technically, we've set up it in a way that it's super easy for us to add a new model. It's even
Add a new
so
model,
that
yeah.
so
How long does that take, if you don't mind me asking?
it
Add a new
depends,
model.
because some providers are really shitty APIs and some have really good ones.
Right.
So the good ones is
Right.
literally like 20, 30 minutes, which is most of it just testing it, not so much the work. And the other ones is maybe 2 to 3 hours, which have again a special API. And everything is multimodal, so we don't only handle text models, but also vision, image, audio models as well. So all your AI workloads you can route through the same gateway.
And what could you give like an example of like a common kind of use case for your customers? Are the majority of them kind of text generation?
Yeah, they are.
Well,
So I mean, it's still going through learning curves, right?
Yeah.
Even on the use case level. But some cool things we already see is the types of assistants that are being built. So one is, for example, where marketeers from big pharma companies, they send a draft of a blog, so not even the final version, to a bot of one of our clients, and then what's being done is it's rewritten in the tone of voice and style of the company.
Okay.
It's localized in different languages if needed, right? So like Italian, French, etc. SEO keywords and summarizations are generated, so to support with the SEO. A prompt is generated for an image generation in the style, the colors, the look and feel of the company. And based on that prompt, also the actual image is generated. So after like 30 seconds, the marketer gets a whole package of deliverables back to publish the blog, right? So that's so much messy work that no one gets energy from. That is just done and returned, right? So that's really interesting, where you just kick off 4 deliverables with the draft, and you're good to go to the next steps in your process. So that's what you do, is a lot of internal process re-engineering, where in existing processes you provide assistants and co-pilots to your to do the messy work.
Super. And the co-pilot you were talking about, and the potential for you guys to kind of integrate this into your product. What's the vision you have there? I mean, I think obviously I kind of start thinking of GitHub Copilot when whenever I hear the word Copilot. What's your vision about with this kind of Copilot within your product specifically?
Yeah, so in different screens and different steps, you will have different co-pilots. So one we are ideating on, what we know how it should work is just how to make the technology really tick, is as you're doing your prompt engineering, based on the model you're prompt engineering on, you get feedback like, hey, Claude works better with XML brackets instead of curly brackets, etc. So, and it's better if you get 1 or 2 more examples in the prompt to steer it, etc. So based on your prompt and your model, you're getting like best practice feedback to write better prompts, right? That's a really easy, low-hanging one. Even our clients can come up with that requirement. Another one is as you're doing human-in-the-loop feedback. So where an expert is actually reviewing individual transactions, where you create, you start seeing a pattern on how that person evaluates specific logs. So what an agent then can do is kind of do a draft of what would the expert say, right? And then the expert only has to sign off on the proposal, right? So every different screen and capability will have its own co-pilot based on the context that is what the activity that's being done there.
Super. How exactly have you been building it? What's the team look like? You said that you and
Anthony,
and your colleague who can hack anything have been building the product. Has it been largely, or like in the main, just you two, or do you have a team of developers and engineers?
Yeah, no, the engineering team is now 10. So of course Anthony is one of the 10, and the CPTO. 2 QA automation, so we're automating everything all the time. And then
Nice.
so the remaining 7 is a mix of back-end and front-end engineers. Yeah.
What tools are you using when it comes to automation and what's your stack? Out of
It's quite
interest.
a normal stack, as in, an SJS backend running on GCP, Cloudflare, Azure,
Mhm. Mhm.
Postgres, MongoDB databases, Redis
Okay.
cache, right? It's like the
Mhm. Mhm.
standard stuff where we don't use too many exotic stuffs in the stack. Also because we're now preparing to go into the different marketplaces, right? So also
Yeah.
you want your technology to be easily transferable across clouds. And
Mhm.
we're able to then offer on-premise, or at least managed on-premise, for the larger enterprises, because data is
Mhm.
super
Mhm.
sensitive. And for that, you cannot pick the really exotic solutions because they won't run on-premise properly.
Mhm. And yeah, you were talking about going to different markets. You're founded in Amsterdam, right?
Yes.
Based in Amsterdam. What are your plans in terms of expansion?
Yeah, so passively, we're of course able to support globally, right? So we have from Australia to
Mhm.
Taiwan to the US already people on the
Mhm.
platform, but our active outreach for now happens in the Netherlands, right? If we cannot even sell in our own
Yep.
backyards, why would we go
Right.
across the world?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that evolves slowly into Germany, Nordics, UK, which is kind
Yeah.
of naturally.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but we also have some stuff unexpectedly coming from Southern Europe, Spain. So
Okay.
of course we will chase those as well. There's not, yeah, we in Europe we're quite the only ones, and the faster moving ones, so that helps.
Mhm. Mhm. Um, and that's quite a good segue into you guys being one of the only ones doing what you're doing. Why did you decide to build this? You mentioned that you and your co-founder,
Anthony, yeah,
would saw kind of a
yeah.
gap, the potential for this. Tell me a little bit about that time when you kind of realized what it was that made you realize it. And why you're doing what you're doing,
Yeah,
basically.
it's a funny evolution. So we don't come from the world of AI and ML, as some of our
Right.
competitors definitely do, right? The PhDs out
Mhm.
of there, but um, so we were building a very scalable and flexible configuration management platform for remote configs
Mhm.
and kind of feature flags on steroids. So to
Mhm. Mhm.
remotely inject your SaaS with very flexible business rules, so you can move really
Mhm.
fast with changing business rules again. Too many
Yeah.
business rules saying there. But one of our design partners, really sophisticated AI team, they started misusing the platform and coming with ideas to do their LLM ops with, because they were very
Mhm.
early on working on LLMs, had early relationships with OpenAI, and then so we saw that with like, okay, prompt engineering, and well, prompt is actually a remote configuration you're injecting in an application. We have nowhere to store it. It's just a string in our MongoDB at the moment. How can we
Mhm.
abstract that away? So we started building more and more tooling around prompt engineering, and that evolved. And then it was in
Mhm.
end of 2022 where we're like, okay, we're going to all in on this. And but all the building blocks we had on building very scalable collaboration and configuration management, it's just everything got more and more tailored towards LLM ops. And with
Mhm.
that, we added, the experimentation, the playgrounds, the AI gateway, and here we are, 12 months later.
Mm. Super. It sounds like quite a fast-paced journey
Oh yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
far,
Yeah,
right?
we
Yeah.
haven't taken a break or any holiday for 18 months now. Yeah.
Your family hasn't seen you
No, no, no. Yeah.
since January 2023.
Exactly.
No. Um, and in that journey, tell me a little bit about the journey. What have been the kind of ups and downs? There must have been quite a few.
Well, the downs are always both on the prospect side, talking
Mhm.
to prospects, and also when during fundraising on the VC side is being ghosted, not getting the
Mhm.
answers, or people not
Mhm.
playing clean. and honestly. So that's always, taking a gut punch, right? That always sucks to have that. And then on the other side, then you're looking for those, little bright moments of, getting a client on board or getting your funding round done, which helps. But to be honest, I mean, we still have been lucky. So nothing dramatically happened, or that we're like, oh man. Looking back, is we got really lucky with the amount of funding we were able to raise with a pre-revenue company in the Netherlands, in Europe, right? Which has all different dynamics than the West Coast US. So looking back, we've been super lucky. We have amazing angels and the VCs. Everyone's like, how the hell did you guys pull this off? So in hindsight, because we just kept going, it's like, oh, look at what we did. But when you're in the middle of it, you're like, oh man, this is hard.
Yeah, you don't really have time to reflect either. At the same time, it's like I said, congratulations on kind of getting that funding in and everything. At the same time, there must have been quite a lot of interest in what you're doing, given obviously AI has been around for a long time in different forms, but the recent or the fairly recent kind of explosion in terms of LLMs, right? And kind of all the kind of progress and enhancements, advancements being made there must have been quite a lot of interest, so long as your product is kind of reachable or findable, right? So I guess there must be quite a large kind of focus on your marketing efforts, right?
And just for me, you mean on the VC side or actually on the commercial client side?
Both okay. Really. I mean, for VCs, I mean that's always a much harder sell, right? Of course, but on the commercial side of things, there must be more and more companies are just realizing ways that they can kind of integrate or kind of use these models across their business.
I have to say, to be honest though, right, it's easier to get interest from the VC side than on the client side, inbound, because it's on the VC side is then the hype cycle and they all want to be on it, and a lot of them didn't spend time on it, so they're kind of just trying to catch up. So you have to entertain all these analysts that you're kind of just educating instead of having serious discussions on funding side. And if you talk about like the commercial side, client side, what you see there is everyone's like, oh, we need to do something with this, right? The news is full of it. My management is asking me about it. But so a lot of the discussions are, again, they just want to stay in the loop and up to date and, feed from your knowledge. And then they'll see, and then the whole sales cycle start, which can easily be, 6 months, 9 months. And that's also hard to balance, right? Where it's like, how serious are you? Or is this just trying to stay in the loop? Because we're not, the 700th outsourcing company reaching out, right? So we have good investors. Everyone knows them here in this region, at least. So it's always easy to get meetings and a seat at the table. But then what happens after is not always like smooth sailing to get the deal done.
A hard sell that can take quite a while, and your kind of your client base is essentially enterprise clients.
So we're now more doing larger SMBs, smaller enterprise. So where the decision cycle is shorter, but you can have serious logos and serious use cases, right? And on the other side, we just also have the product-led growth funnel, where it's Gen AI startups building their entire startups on top of Ork AI, where we also learn a lot. They really push their thinking. So the platform is actually ready when the larger SMBs and enterprises arrive at those requirements in a couple months.
And during these, would have been then, just over 2 years since you wrote that first line of code. What's been the kind of the high point so far, would you say? Has it been receiving this funding, for example, or has it been something else, small or big?
It's funny because you should actually be celebrating those fundings, but because still it's such a, the whole process can be painful, as in you're just happy when it's done with all the lawyer stuff going back and forward and the signatures in. So you're kind of already over the happiness the moment the money arrives and you're already back to building and announcing it. So mentally, you're already 3 months out, and then you have to go be like, oh yeah, by the way, we raised funding, even though that's a few months ago. And again, for us, it was still we have great VCs who we had a really easy and comfortable process with. And then, so the celebration would actually be where, well, one is of course getting your first couple of real enterprise clients on board, proving like our assumptions were true. They also see this value, and actually once they're 2 months in and you see their people actually doing all the things we hypothesized about of domain experts need to be building this, it should be no code, and you're like, oh wow, it's really working. They're using the rules engine, they are doing this way of prompt engineering. So that's what really gives me joy, is if some of the hypotheses we had 14 months ago are being confirmed now in production by actual paying clients. Second is where I see is where we take a bet on a new colleague that joins, and then you see them thriving, right? And like not only meeting your expectations, but like growing so fast that fills me with joy. So we've now multiple of those colleagues who we took a bet on, but totally worth it. So those are the moments that Tony and I, after everyone leaves the office, are happy with.
Yeah. Are they moments where you were like really close to like making the decision not to go with those people, those colleagues, and that you're now like,
good thing.
God, I'm so glad that we did.
No, it was never like, oh, should we do it or should we not do it? So we're kind on that based. Well, I think mentality wise we're kind of the same, but also working shoulder to shoulder for 3 years, also in our previous job. So you kind of get into the same flow, and you know what the other person thinks. So it's all like, should we do it? Okay, let's do it, and then we just go ahead. And so that hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure it will. We also had some failures, right, where we had to let people go quite quickly. So there was just no cultural fit. No, we're not carrying their weight. It's also the signal you send out to the rest of what type of professionalism you want in the team.
You said you were going to be recruiting 2 more additional employees, right? So taking you to 15, right? What's your hope or kind of vision by the end of this year and into 2025? What do you think?
So then we're literally talking about ARR milestones we want to hit, right? So everything this year is tailored around the go-to-market and getting a go-to-market machine set up that is repeatable.
Making that work.
On product and tech, I think for this phase, we have it in place, right? It's buzzing, it's humming, it's predictable, so that's good. High quality. It won't, of course, that's going to be forever, right? As we grow, that also needs to be refactored. But it's really on now building the go-to-market engine and machine that is repeatable, reproducible, and how to tell the story to shorten the sales cycles constantly.
Super. Sounds like you've been on a really exciting journey in what's like a short space of time. Let's face it, just over 2 years. But obviously you're kind of hot on AI and all things kind of AI. What's your perspective on the role of AI in decision making processes within organizations?
It's not being done enough, right? Just literally working data driven is not being done enough, right? So, and if you don't have good quality data, then using AI for it won't make your decisions better quality. But if you would have your data quality under control, right? Definitely using it as a co-pilot now helps. Well, and also it's kind of 2 levels, right? You have like operational technical decisions, which is kind of just process. So if you have good processes, it's easy to then either put that in code or in an AI model to make those decisions. If you talk about strategic, there at best it can be a co-pilot for now, right, where it feeds you with data and analyses. But it's those judgment calls, the leaps of faith, the paradigm shifts you strategically decide as a leader to go after, that I don't think you can put in the hands of AI at this moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
it's trained on patterns from the past. So
Right.
foreseeing paradigm shifts in the future, I don't think we're there yet in a repeatable
No.
way. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
for now, yeah.
What that's a good kind of segue into my next question here as well, and that's around what you believe is going to be or is the most impactful emerging technology for businesses today. Obviously, we've been talking about a number of companies starting to integrate
Yeah.
these LLMs across their businesses. That will no doubt
Yeah.
continue, of course. But are there any kind of emerging technologies that you think maybe they're AI related?
No, I
Probably are,
honestly
but
think, and it's not because we're in the middle of it, but even zooming out, it for now it is literally generative AI in this at this
yeah, yeah,
moment, right? And also because
mm,
we're so still early days in it. You see the new models that come out are exponentially almost better than the previous one in context size
yeah,
and in capability wise, etc. So, and even now
mm,
we're seeing actual all the use cases being built
mm,
across different clients, and we're like, holy shit, imagine if every organization automates these processes like one client did in one place. Imagine happening everywhere all the time, all at once,
hmm,
right? So
hmm,
then
yeah,
yeah, it's literally that at this moment, what I foresee.
yeah. And these models that are, all these upgrades that are
Hmm.
being released, like one's kind of outdoing the other, and then another one gets released and it outdoes the other, and there's kind of much greater capabilities
Yeah.
in those models that are being released. This is likely going to continue, but in your view, as of now, in our kind of understanding of these models, and like I'm talking about kind of the context windows and stuff like this, how good does it need to get, or what problems do you foresee that we won't be able to kind of overcome when it comes to performance here with these
Ooh,
models?
that's a good one. What problems we cannot overcome with the current models?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there are a number of models that, presumably, let's take
Yeah.
ChatGPT as an
Yeah.
example, right? There's probably number five, ChatGPT 5 coming
Yeah.
any,
Well, it's
I
just
don't know
like the
when,
next
anytime.
iPhone will come for
Then
sure.
exactly. Then there'll be 6, 7. What problems will ChatGPT 7 be solving? Will it be kind of, these context window related issues that we might have today? Or is it related to compute? And yeah, what would you say? What are these kind of? There's never going to be a final
Yeah.
version, let's say. But what are these future versions going to be offering? What problems are they going to be solving? Do you think?
Well, it's definitely multimodal, right? And already the current
Mm,
models are, but I think it's just going to be more and more a mix of, well, here's a whole pack of deliverables, right, that you asked for, and
yeah,
then you don't have to ask that independently. But it's like, and here's a video, and here's the whole
yeah,
source
yeah,
code, and here's a, and I've even done it
yeah.
for you. So that probably will happen. And well, the how you feed the data and your data to it, right? You already see the
Mm,
context windows growing. So in a lot of use cases, the
mm,
need for retrieval, right, and RAG is less already because you just give the
yeah,
whole chapter of the book to the LLM to query, etc.
right.
So it's on that. It's just like you now don't even worry about your hard drive of your laptop running out of space, right?
Mm,
It's just like, and
mm,
if it is, you just hook
mm,
up Google Drive and you sync with the cloud and it's abstracted away.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's just all going to be much more organic and integrated everywhere. I don't know if that's a
Mm.
good answer though. It's a tough one
No,
to
I think no.
answer.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah,
It is. It
it's
is
a
tough. I
good,
wasn't
very
so kind there,
meta.
but no, I think it's a good answer. I think it's quite clear we're kind of, well, in my opinion at least, we're kind of living
Yeah,
in a kind of golden era
yeah, and
now. There's a lot that's gone on since in the last 20 years and so, of course, but it feels like now that things are just really, really exploding.
yeah. So you see
And
now also people managing for cost or latency, and another
yeah,
podcast. So
yeah,
this is not my thing to mention. Like you should build assuming these things won't be a problem in the next 6 months, right? Where people are like
right,
managing for cents
right,
of cost because it's all going to zero. It's all going to be in
yeah,
milliseconds again in
yeah,
speed. So
yeah,
that's also what we're like. We're building tooling for about cost management or latency management, but how much should we invest in all dashboards and metrics and stuff on that if in 6 months it's not a thing anymore?
Yeah. No, true. Very good point. But with the, like, I've been talking about this kind of explosion, but with the rise of automation and AI kind of enabling a lot of this, what do you think the job landscape will look like in like 50 years? I personally, it's not like I lose sleep, but I've got a young son, 2 years old, and I'm just trying. Sometimes I think, okay, when he's leaving university, for example, 20 years down the line, what's it going to look like then? What's it going to look like in 50 years? What's your take on this?
Yeah, just like if you would ask me in 2001 when I was building my first startup, mobile phones and AI and all this, we were still building in HTML and CSS and PHP, right? And how things are now. So, and considering exponentiality, right? And considering that the human brain cannot think exponentially, assuming that every time a big industrial revolution came or a technical revolution came, new types of jobs came into existence, that stuff. Yeah, I don't see it that dystopian if we are able to, control it. And I'm also of the belief, like, lazy people that don't like to work, doesn't matter what you'll do, they'll be lazy and not working. And creative people looking for a purpose. Well, if they're not needed on the farm anymore, then they go and work in a factory. If that's not needed, they go and build software. If that's not needed, they go do the next thing. So there's always a frontier, right, where you can spend your creativity on and energy.
Yeah. And creativity is a very kind of apt word here, because a lot of kind of people, or specific kind of professionals, creative professionals, like maybe see AI as kind of potential competition. You've seen kind of with Sora, OpenAI's fairly recent release of Sora. You've got was it Genie, I think, that Google released with this kind of video gaming, right? Mobile development, even though it's still in 2D. It's a step in a direction where AI is able to kind of produce these both very good here and now, not so good here and now videos and images, basically. What's your take on when people say about kind of the potential for it to kind of replace professionals and those kind of people that are kind of studied to become a developer, to become a designer, or whatever it might be? What are they left to do? Does it replace people? Will it? What's your take here?
Yeah, I'm always a bit itchy when it comes to these purist discussions, right? Like whether it's musicians or programmers, where they're super purist, like, oh no, you need to be really, your hands in the mud, and only then you're like an OG. It's always these sour people, right? That have these type of discussions. So just like going from analog to digital recording and the availability of recording material for everyone, I don't think cameramen went out of a job, right? There's just more stuff being produced, more personalized stuff. You're able to cherry pick the content you like because there's so much producers coming out and produce. I don't think any millennial watches TV anymore. Everyone's on YouTube. Obviously curating their own interests. I think that will just continue. So everyone will just have more superpowers to create and to find what they really, really like, and get just more and more personalized and much more niches that you can explore. But that's my personal take on it. When it comes to creativity, again, those models are on historical things that have already been created. So for now, they're not able to create new stuff and new paradigm shifts for the foreseeable future. At least 50 years is just too long to extrapolate, to be honest. My monkey brain can't.
I think. I completely agree. I freak out when I start thinking 5 years or even 3 years into the future. Such is the speed of all these changes and stuff that's going on. But a tip for myself, but also for all the listeners, of course, it's more. We spoke earlier about you kind of keeping your eyes peeled, ears to the ground in terms of new models coming out, etc., so that you can kind of add these to your product. How do you guys keep on top of things and trends and stuff happening? Are there kind of specific YouTube channels, for example, or kind of there is obviously these things come to light quite quickly, but are you guys, tapping into any source in particular that kind of enables you to stay ahead?
Well, not very specifically, and especially like staying ahead is so hard, and everything just goes viral within 10 minutes. So it kind of even it's hard to miss it, right?
You're going to find out, so
Yeah,
it's
it's
nothing
hard to
you
miss
need
it.
to
But
worry
I
about,
mean,
right?
for me, how I consume it is just curated out my LinkedIn feed with the right people
Mm,
always showing up and being on top, and the ones that are not interesting, they never show up. So for me, it's kind of
mhm, mhm,
LinkedIn. I stopped
mhm, mhm,
Twitter or X.
mhm,
Also, just it gives me too much stress, to be honest, right? Because there's
mhm.
constant this like, oh, this phase is over, ChatGPT is over. This is it. So there's always these
Yeah.
crisis screaming type of people, and that's getting
Yeah, yeah.
amplified.
Same on
Yeah,
YouTube,
yeah,
I
yeah.
find, when it
It's
comes to
all
that.
just
Yeah,
clickbait,
yeah,
and it's hard to
yeah, exactly.
not see that with the algorithms, right? Because they're just tailored
Hmm.
towards conflict, right? So they just
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
spamming you with
You click on it once, and that's all you're going to
exactly
see,
right.
right? So you've got
Yeah,
yourself to
yeah, yeah.
blame.
So all these controversial stuff then gets amplified, and try to steer away from that
Yeah.
because it's a kind of you need to stay on top, but somewhere you also just need to take a long-term approach to things. You cannot be shifting and
Hmm.
jumping left and right every 2 seconds.
Hmm. No, very, very,
No.
very true. Yeah.
One,
One different question I've got is regarding like a hot take when it comes to technology and different tech products. Can you hit me with an unpopular or uncommon opinion that you have about tech products?
Well, so what we see is all the hype on for in our case on Gen AI, and then
Yeah.
um, so everyone is screaming. So you would guess, oh, there's definitely a couple of companies really kicking ass and doing next level stuff, and we are falling behind organizationally, right? Not even us, but like our clients can think that. Um,
Hmm.
but you really need to filter that out. There's for now no serious production use cases happening at scale, right? There's of course a couple companies really doing it, but most of is just POCs that are not production ready, that don't
Mm,
work. No one is comfortable putting it on production.
mm.
So in Dutch we would say like the soup is not eaten as hot as it is served, right? So
Right,
it's
right.
not that it's still very early days on production grades Gen AI apps. So that would be my
Yeah.
thing. How we see it literally being built and happening. It's like, oh, okay, it's
Hmm.
not production grade for everything yet,
Hmm.
even though some people
Yeah.
think that.
Mm. No, fair
Yeah.
enough. There was also a question I had about the kind of low code, no code nature of parts of your product as well, which I find really interesting in the sense that it kind of opens up
Hmm.
possibilities across an organization, right? We're talking about domain experts, but also the ability for those that are not so tech savvy or knowledgeable to kind of use these products. Have you guys kind of witnessed companies coming to you that might have thought, this is nothing for me because I don't know enough about how these things work, that then realize, yeah, I can use this. I can use this product myself. Yeah.
To be honest, no. And why is that?
Right.
Because and we even have that in our ICP definition, right? What we are looking for is they have to add at least 1, 2 projects in house or POCs at least, because only
Yeah.
then they will recognize the pain they had, for which they need a
Hmm.
painkiller, right? So you will never have
Hmm.
someone
Hmm.
walking into the store and saying, "Well, I need a vitamin." I think, what vitamins do you sell, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to be honest, no. Simply because you should have had the pain in
Hmm.
Jira tickets going back and forth, Excel sheets, and prompts being out of date, and people blaming each other, finger pointing. It's hell. It doesn't work. And only then you're like,
Hmm.
oh wow, if we had it back then, this would be much different, right? So sometimes you don't know what you don't
Hmm.
know. So you've
Yeah.
had the pain at least once to know what you want now.
Hmm.
No.
No. True. Yeah, so Reb, super interesting chat. Really, really insightful. Is there anything you want to add?
No, just thanks for
Before
having
we
me.
wrap up?
Hope it was insightful, and I was able to add some value to people listening.
Ah, absolutely. I found it really, really insightful. I think I'll be checking your product out even more.
Great.
Talking to a few colleagues here about
Let's
it as
get you
well.
onboarded.
So we'll we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Lee.
But thanks. So that wraps up another enlightening episode of Builders, where we dive into the minds shaping the future of technology. Again, Sohrab, a huge thank you to you for being our guest, for sharing these insights and your journey with us today. And to our listeners, we hope that today's conversation sparked your curiosity and inspired you to think about the impact you can make in the tech industry, and in particular how Gen AI can impact a lot of processes in your business. Whether you're coding the next big app, designing cutting-edge hardware, or simply dreaming up futuristic concepts, remember that every innovation starts with a single step, and that failure is not a bad thing, right? So, Reb?
Embrace it.
Indeed. So until next time, keep building, keep innovating, and let's shape the future of technology together. This is Lee Haynes, your host, signing off. Cheers.